Coming up on Cultural Capital, we're at the British Library to pay tribute to Camden's first black head teacher. Thing of the week is, in fact, the goat. And I'll be reviewing the latest offering from the ever-expanding Marvel Cinematic Universe, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Beryl Gilroy was an extraordinary woman, a pioneering writer, teacher and ethno-psychotherapist born in Guyana who came to Britain in 1952 and later became one of the first black head teachers in London. Now, the British Library has acquired her wonderful archive and we went down there to rifle through it.
Beryl was born in Guyana and she trained as a teacher, and then she moved to the UK in the 50s to kind of further that study, and also was a writer as well, so she wrote creative writing, novels and poetry, and she also later trained as an ethno-psychotherapist, and she was very interested in sort of all of those strands, particularly in black women and mothers and daughters and immigration.
And for me, I always saw her as a heroic figure, actually. I think people have written a lot about the kind of racism that she endured and the things that happened to her in her life. And actually, I think that misses the point. The point is she was a heroic figure and she did what most women for her generation simply could not do. She was the first black head teacher in Camden and the second black head teacher in London. Obviously, I'm hugely proud of her achievements. I find it quite difficult now because my mother is disappearing and she's becoming a kind of moment in history as opposed to being my mother. I think she resonates with young women today, can see themselves in her story, and that for me is the most sort of powerful message, really. I really wanted her work to be accessible, and I think she believed in the transformative power of education and of learning, and what better place for her archive to be. And it now becomes something that's accessible to people from all over the world, and I think quite rightly so.
I have a real weakness for ceramics. I love a good pot, but I've never been keen on figurines. This one, though, is really something else. It's Thing of the Week.
This goat's made of porcelain, and it was produced by the Meissen factory in Germany, who were the first European manufacturers of Meissen in the 18th century. He was made for Augustus the Strong, who was the main funder of discovering porcelain in Europe. And Augustus the Strong was so obsessed with porcelain, as so many people were in Europe at this time period, that he wanted to create a full 600 animal strong menagerie, all made of porcelain, all to life size, if possible. And this goat is one of the first of those created. He died shortly after beginning the venture, so he couldn't manage to get the full 600, but he did get a couple of goats in, and we have one of them.
Now it's the 60-second film review. In the days when Doctor Strange et al. Were just characters in comic books, the multiverse was effectively a sticking plaster, dreamed up to cover the continuity cracks caused by making up a story as you went along. Now it's a massive Marvel moneymaker, and it really comes into its own in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The title is appropriate. This film is a lot. I came out feeling like I've watched 15 different movies, most of which I enjoyed, especially the ones set in a universe made entirely of paint. This is Evil Dead Supremo Sam Raimi's first film of any kind in 11 years, and it's full of nods to his unique brand of witty horror. The leading cast is excellent. Benedict Cumberbatch as Strange and Xochitl Gomez as multiverse-hopping teenager America Chavez are both eminently watchable when they get a moment to breathe. Essentially, though, this is a fast-moving series of brilliant ideas, knowing nods and in-jokes, which you don't have to be a superfan to enjoy, but it helps. The plot mostly serves the effects, and though Elizabeth Olsen is excellent as Wanda Maximoff/Scarlet Witch, I felt a bit cheated by the sudden switch to deranged maniac that she's required to make for the plot to work. Still, somewhere underneath all the headlong madness, there's an interesting drama about grief, regret and self-interest that occasionally is allowed to surface. But like I said, in a good way, it's a lot. For more great things to see and do in the capital, follow Evening Standard on TikTok and ES Culture on Instagram. See you next week.